Welcome back to Inside IU Softball with Michelle Gardner. I'm Dave Leno exclusively for IUHoosiers.com. One of the best wins in program history took place this past weekend. IU took one of two against number 3 ranked Michigan. Spectacular contest. You saw the jubilation, exultation take place on the field after that game. Take us through it. What were you thinking?
Well, obviously it was an unbelievable feeling, and to beat them on their home field is absolutely amazing. They're third in the country for a reason. They're very good. They've been very good for a number of years, and that's the direction that we've wanted the program to go, and I just can't explain it. I'm ecstatic.
Couple weekly accolades, and for good reason. Sarah Olson, Player of the Week in the Big Ten, Morgan Mello, Co-Pitcher of the Week in the conference. First, let's start with Sarah. 5 RBIs in Game 2, 2 big home runs against one of the best pitchers in the country, Jordan Taylor. How does she manage to produce for you night in and night out?
Well, I think she's a senior. I think, there's a little bit of pressure off her this season. She's, primarily had to be my number 1 pitcher for the past 2 seasons, and not that she couldn't handle the pressure, but it's just a little bit different, I think, feel going into it. And Sarah Olson's a team player. Sarah Olson wants to win. It's not about who's on the mound, and I think that's the biggest thing for her right now, is that all she wants to do is compete. And I think she's elevated her game. I think in the off season, she had a surgery she needed to have, and has been able to get in the best shape of her life, which I think is a huge factor in this. And mentally, she's just absolutely tough. She's the leadership that I've needed from her, and she's just found a way to get it done week in and week out.
And now to her fellow senior, Mello, had 21 strikeouts within the 2 games, pitched 15 innings. She put you guys in a good position to actually take game number 1 too, didn't she?
Absolutely. And I think if you look at the stats, we were battling. We battled. Unfortunately, we came up on the short end of the stick in that game, but I felt great about the game, and that was kind of what I wanted to carry over into the next game was, we were right in it, and we can win this. And I think that Morgan, took it upon herself to just throw them on her back and throw. And she did a phenomenal job. And here's the thing about us. I didn't feel like she had her best stuff. And in the first game, I thought, she kept us in the game, but still, I just didn't feel like it was Morgan. In the second game, Morgan came out, and she absolutely did a phenomenal job, shut down a couple of the best hitters in the country. And, with Sarah's help, we won a ballgame.
A couple of Mello's accomplishments with the talents around her, and you really get a Pugnations club. You made a couple errors in Game 2, but you still found ways to come back, albeit Sarah did produce for you guys mostly, but still you overcame those challenges.
Well, and, when we had a 2-0 lead and then they tied the ballgame up, it was like, okay, here we go. And then we just kept finding a way. We went ahead, and they came back. I mean, Michigan's going to battle until the very end of the game, and that was the bottom line. And the one thing that I said to them, you hope that it made a difference, was you have to want this game more than they do. And Sarah Olson wanted that game more than they did. And her coming up and, hitting the home run to put us ahead in the last inning was absolutely amazing. But then we had to have some good defense and do some things right. And, Morgan did strike out the leadoff batter and struck out Dorian Shaw to end the game. I mean, Dorian's coming up, and we're all kind of like, okay, but, in my heart, I knew we were okay because Dorian hadn't done anything to hurt us all day. And Dorian is great. I mean, she's a great hitter and a fierce competitor. And to be able to do that to her to end the game absolutely spoke volumes about what Morgan had done all day.
For people that might not know too much about this program, put it in perspective for us. How important was it to defeat Michigan? Because a lot of people might say, hey, that's just a big win, but it's a lot more, isn't it?
It is a lot more. And I think, we've struggled the last 2 seasons, and struggle's not necessarily the right word. When I was hired, it was let's rebuild this, and we took some lumps, and the team has competed every year. They've done what I've asked them to do. It's just we needed to get over the hump. We get into this season, we have a tough preseason, which we came out with more wins than losses, which was phenomenal because we were winning against some really good teams. The one game that I think we let slip away was the Cal game, and to me that was a game that put us over the hump. And you know, the whole thing is this whole season, continue to compete and good things will happen. If you take care of the ball, good things will happen. You know, we've got to find a way to score runs. And, you know, you saw that last weekend against Minnesota. The first game, we had 15 strikeouts against us. And that's, if you're not putting the ball in play, it's awful hard to, you know, win a ball game. But then on Sunday, they came out and competed and found a way. They did the same thing on Saturday against Michigan. They were not going to give up, and they just fought through the whole game.
Well, I can tell you it was definitely a thrill for me and Nate Weekers, also Madison Diedrich, who you can see in the picture behind us, I think, we had fun as well calling the game. We were really broadcasting history. So now on that note, we want to rewind a couple weekends back to Georgia and show you what it takes to actually make a broadcast work cohesively. We're here in the Jack Turner Stadium press box in Athens, Georgia, and we're going to give you a little bit of a background on what we do preparing for a broadcast. So first thing we do when we come into the booth about an hour and a half before the game is set up the equipment. That's paramount. We got to make sure everything's working. Technical difficulties are inevitable. It's going to happen. We have a couple headsets. We have our mixer, and then obviously plugs that go into some outlets downstairs. You see our computer right here, and if Nate comes in a little bit closer with the camera, you see various spots. For example, SB Open, the softball open. I have a couple of highlights there. And then I have innings, and the girls did prepare a couple of commercials themselves that they voiced to kind of get them involved a little bit on the broadcast. Now, if you take a look at some of my notes, I'm very big on preparation. I think as far as broadcasters go, you're only as good as you prepare. And as you see in the booth, you have a lot of notes. Let's start with the scorebook here first. I'm getting ready for the IU James Madison game. I have stuff on James Madison. Obviously, I know a lot of information about Indiana's team. But for James Madison, you know, I have overall records and a couple previous seasons, the coach stuff, bios. I'll take you back to a previous game so you can see kind of what it looks like in the end. Papers galore flying everywhere, but I kind of tailored this scorebook to the way, you know, I wanted it to look, with defensive alignments, notes at the top. If you see here, that's flying away because of the wind. I have little bios on each player. I get this from not only looking at the athletic websites of each of the opposing schools, but also newspaper articles and things of that nature, other media outlets. And on here, we usually tape up, depending on what press box we're in, papers, previous box scores, and overall statistics. Anything that will help me during the broadcast. You know, one of the things that's very tough is trying to decipher what you're going to look at and when to use the appropriate information. And it's not an easy thing what Nate and I do on air, and I try to bring in Nate as much as possible. Obviously, on radio, what we do is streaming audio. The play-by-play guy is going to talk a little bit more because I have to paint the picture. On TV, it's a little bit different. Usually it's the color analyst show on television because everybody can see, and the color analyst will, you know, fill in. That's where the word color comes from. Will fill in some more information. The play-by-play guy just kind of chimes in from here and there. But on radio, it's kind of a play-by-play guy's domain. But Nate is definitely a guy that I count on to provide some statistical information and some background things that I don't know. And, you know, about a 2-hour broadcast, everything's not going to go perfect, but, you know, you try to do the best you can, and that's what exactly we do. We give it our all on the air. Opponents hitting 191 against Mello. And the 2-0 in the air. Third base side towards foul grab. Wagner looks up and will find the seats. 2-1 the count. Scoreless action here in the bottom of the first inning with James Madison batting in the full white uniforms. Ashley Burnham is the batter, the shortstop. Burnham was last year the Colonial Athletic Association Player of the Year and a first-team selection in that league. She hit .311 for this club. Here is the 2-1 by Mello and foul off towards the dugout of James Madison. 2-2. All right, welcome back. Well, the Hoosiers have a couple contests this week. First, they'll start off going a little bit south. The border battle will play Louisville, and that will be a tough contest for you because Louisville has won the last 7 games, receiving votes in the poll, 9 votes to be exact. to get into that top 25. But hey, you guys have played a lot of stealthy competition. You're 45th in the RPI. They're 24th, so you both know what it takes to come away.
Well, I think that's exactly what we need to do is go in there and compete. Know what it's important. It's an important game because of where they are RPI. And, obviously the win against Michigan's huge, but now we've done it. Now we have to keep doing it. And that was kind of, one thing about it is you can beat the number 3 team in the country, but now you don't just quit playing. Like, I still think we have to continue to get better. And that's why Louisville, to me, is a great game to come up now, because we really just have to find a way to compete and win a game.
We touched on in the first segment how you got some weekly awards, and that was the first time since, I believe, 2006 when Rachel Terry and another pitcher for you guys got those accolades. But this team, and I'm sure you're telling them that hey, you can't just rely on Morgan and Sarah this week. You're really going to have other players that need to step up.
Well, I think that's the bottom line. And I think we've had a few players throughout the season who have stepped up and done a great job. Bree Saucedo being one of them. I mean, to me, she's the catalyst. She gets on, and good things are going to happen. Ashley Warham has done some great offensive things. And I think last weekend, throughout the lineup, I felt like we're getting some more production. And, it's the right time to be happening. And, the bottom line is we just have to keep competing. And obviously Sarah and Morgan they're doing their jobs. And as long as everybody else does theirs, we should be on the winning end of games. It doesn't mean we're not going to lose another game, but we're in every game that we play, which I think is kind of the big factor. And, someone else in that mix who kind of, I think, has gotten overlooked just a little bit is Cassie Gokrief, who is sitting behind the dish every single game. And, she's throwing out runners, but she's helping Morgan get strikes and do the things that she needs to do to help us be successful. And probably not hitting like she'd like to be hitting, but she's done a better job and needs to continue to put some things together at the plate. And
you mentioned Cassie, and it really does attest to your depth on the team. And I want to go back to one of the plays in Michigan that I thought really helped you out, even though it was the first inning, first game. That was the throw from your center fielder, Samantha Heyman, on a one-hop to get Bree Evans. I would go as far as to say she's one of the top runners in the conference. And the way she's doing it,
absolutely,
it's going to parallel everybody else.
Absolutely. And I thought that was, yes, that was a huge play for us. And it really did kind of set the tone. Because I think at that point, Michigan's thinking they can run around and, we're not going to play defense. Well, we had some great defensive plays in that game that really, you look at all, it had a couple blunders too, but, we had a blunder, but then we make a great play to get out of an inning. I mean, that play right there really did kind of set the tone. Like, we're not just some little team from Bloomington, Indiana. We're here to play.
Well, I'm sure Louisville knows that. Then you're going to play Penn State. They're first going to have a doubleheader against Michigan State. They're going to dedicate their fields on Friday. You'll play them on Saturday and Sunday. I believe 5 p.m. start time on Saturday, 1 p.m. on Sunday. The Nittany Lions, right now as it stands, before their Wednesday contest, 3-1, just one loss to Illinois. They're playing some good ball up there.
And they have been playing some good ball. They're always tough, and I don't care how you look at it. They've got decent pitching. We just have to be able, like we did against Michigan, put the ball in play, and good things will happen. And I'm excited about going over there. I know it's a brand new stadium, and all the hoopla that goes along with that. But my thing is, we just need to get down to business. We need to get there, and we need to play ball.
All right, Coach, thanks for your time.
Thanks, Dave.
On behalf of Coach Michelle Gardner and our videographer and editor, Nate Weekers, this is Dave Leno saying so long. Best wishes, everyone.